Abu Dhabi, we had the main event, Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski. That is Rich the Casual's boy, by the way. Rich the Casual doesn't know very much about MMA. He knows a lot about producing, which is how he holds the show down. But he knows about Alexander Volkanovski. That's his boy. So you know he was heartbroken last night. But what are your thoughts, Will? Tell us. Break it down.
Yeah, so the first thing outside of the fight itself, we had the first fight. It was a close fought match, much closer than pretty much everybody thought it was going to be, just because of the size difference. Because Volk is not a big featherweight. HB Comer says, "I actually bought this pay per view as it was finally airing at a proper time in Europe. What a shit show it turned out to be. It was chaos. What a chaotic event." But yeah, back to the fight. We got the first fight was somewhat close. I had Islam winning 4 rounds out of that first fight, but it wasn't like a landslide. You know what I mean? So that
It was a very close fight. It was a fun fight.
4 rounds to 1 sounds way more dominant than like it actually played out. You know what I mean? Because it was close. Volkanovski, obviously, he's one of the greats. That's the reason his nickname is the Great. It's not because he's named Alex. But
it goes together.
But it works.
Yeah, it works.
Some nicknames only work one way. His works too. But yeah, close first fight. Everyone knew there was going to be a rematch eventually. I thought Islam would defend his belt against an actual lightweight, and then Volkanovski would defend his belt against Ilia Topuria, and then they would do the rematch. I think that's probably what was going to happen. Right, Islam versus the Bronx, maybe versus Gaethje before, but who knows? Volkanovski finally has a new challenger at his weight class, so we'll get him to defend. Then we can do the rematch. And then the Bronx pulls out. He had a nasty cut on his eyebrow. A shout out Diggs, by the way. Hey, what's up, G? Shout out Twitch. We're on Twitch. Yeah. So the Bronx pulls out. He's got a nasty cut. Like 10 days before the fight.
By the way,
11 days
if you haven't seen the picture and if you're not squeamish, check it out, because there's no way he could have fought. No way he could have fought with that.
Yeah, it was bad. And, I've seen people, there's a narrative already that the Bronx wanted out of the fight. He was saying he doesn't want to fight him in Abu Dhabi. And it's like, so he cut open his eyebrow to get out of the fight? What are we talking about here? Yeah. The guy who faced like the killers of lightweight back to back, finished all of them. He's scared to fight Islam again. Come on.
Yeah, it's crazy narrative.
It's ridiculous. But regardless, Volk steps in, and I was like, what a gangster, but also terrible career move. Absolutely terrible career move. Not a good move. Because, look, he lost the first fight against Islam, but it was so close that you knew they were going to do it again. And it was such a great fight, an all-time classic. You know they're going to do it again.
Yep.
Why would you want to rush this on 9 days' notice, go up a weight class? He clearly was not in the shape that he should have been in. You could tell just by his physique. Why would you do this because if you lose, no one's going to be like, well, it was a 9 days' notice. Let's do a third one. You're 0-2 against them. That's not going to happen here. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I guess if you pull it off, it's like one of the greatest success stories in the sport, but it's just a really not a good decision from his team, in my opinion. And like Regen says, I felt like this was a lose-lose for Islam unless he finished Volk in the first round. Yeah, because if you're Islam and it's another close fight, that's not a good look, against a 9-day Volk or a 10-day Volk or whatever it was. So that's before the fight. What did you think of the fight?
Man, it was. I didn't expect it to go the way it did. And look, you talk about his physique. I would kill to have that body right now, Will.
I'm not saying.
I know what you're saying. I'm just saying he still looked like he's in good shape.
He didn't look like Volk though.
No. But also, we're used to seeing him at 145. He's absolutely shredded.
But even when he fought Islam the first time, he was still shredded. He just put on some mass for that fight because he was actually able to properly bulk up.
He did also mention that he hadn't been training as much as he probably should have been training, and it's not like he wasn't training because he wasn't training because he didn't think he had a fight coming up. It's not that he wasn't training because he wasn't taking his fight seriously. Mm-hmm. So the fight, though, I didn't think it was going to go the way it did. So Islam Makhachev, look, everybody talks in AKA about his stand-up. We know him for his wrestling. A lot of people know him for his wrestling. He comes up with Nurmagomedov and his family, so he's a solid wrestler. We have people coming out of that camp all the time saying, like, man, you think his wrestling is good. His striking is even better. And you're like, really, is it? And you see glimpses of it here and
He's
there.
got some knockouts, right?
Yeah, he's got some knockouts, but then yesterday he just looked so comfortable circling around the octagon, man. And that straight right was like a piston yesterday and kept on landing a few times.
That's always a good strike for him. And you know, when he's fighting in that southpaw stance, it's so weird because you're expecting a wrestler, but then you're also having a tricky kind of stand-up puzzle to figure out because most people aren't as comfortable fighting southpaws, right? So you're focusing on the wrestling, but then hey, also you're now dealing with a southpaw striker, and that Mighty Mouse called it in his breakdown before this fight, saying, "Look, the left kick for Islam is the moneymaker in this fight, and it's going to be, and if he uses it, that's going to be the difference maker." Is basically what he was saying. Mighty Mouse is so goddamn good, right?
He is.
And so the fight starts, and
it's like he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, it's like he's like with the goat or something. Islam is throwing that low leg kick, the inside leg kick with his left leg because they're open stance, and it's landing well, and then he starts going to the body. And you're like, oh, nice. Mighty Mouse was right. It's a good kick. Because at open side, if you're orthodox and you're fighting a southpaw fighter, the rear leg body kick favors the southpaw, right? Because that's hitting the liver, whereas the orthodox fighter is just going to hit you the side. There's nothing there, right? So the southpaw body kick against an orthodox fighter is way more powerful than the reverse, and you have to be cognizant of it if you're the orthodox fighter. And then eventually he throws the high kick, and Volk gets the hand up, and you're like, "Ooh, that was a nasty one." And then he shoots for a takedown. Volk stuffs it like this, and it's like, man. At this moment, I was not even paying attention to the kicks as much. I wasn't like, "Ooh, he's getting it." I was just like, you're watching the fight. He stuffs the takedown. They get up to the fence. Volk turns him around, gets Islam's back against the fence, and I was like, man, this is why Volk's so good, dude. On 10 days' notice, here he is, like stuffing Islam Makhachev takedowns. It's hard to take down a bowling ball, and Volk's basically just a block.
Have you ever tried? It's hard.
No, I haven't.
It's hard.
Cut to Ramiro and the kids at the bowling alley. And Ramiro
just try to sprawling on a bowling ball.
On a bowling ball. And then they separate. Islam lands some nasty knees. You can see in that plum clinch that he's so strong, and he's curling. He's breaking Volk's posture, and that's hard to do against Volk because he's like so stout. It's hard to break someone's posture if they're not long. And they separate, and then bam, he throws the left high kick, and Volk has the hand up, but he leans down almost like he's expecting it to maybe go to like the body.
Yep.
And
what a setup!
Goes right over the hand. His hand's here, and it goes right over, hits him in the eyebrow, splits his eyebrow, wobbles him, and you can see it's one of those knockouts where you're like fighting to stay in your brain. You know what I mean? Like, because he wobbles, and you can see he's like, a lot of people would have just gone down from that. Let's be real. And Volk kind of stumbles a little bit, and it's like he's fighting his body from going out. When you get choked out and you're on the verge of passing out, and you're like, no, and you're like trying to keep your vision, and you're trying. I bet you that's exactly what's happening with Volk, but he can't stay up, and then Islam just puts it on him with the ground and pound.
Look at that background, by the way, the reactions.
I know, dude.
Such a good picture.
You think this is a good picture? Wait till you see the next one. Maybe one of the greatest MMA photos of all time, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited now. Let's run it, he says. Oh, that is a good picture.
Damn, dude.
That is a really good picture, actually.
Because immediately after he finishes them, he's telling the crowd to calm down. He's putting his hand down and like, hey, calm down. Puts his hand, like, the silence right. And God, what a picture. That is insane, dude.
Yeah. But look, dude, Alexander, the great Volkanovski, and say what you say about him. Like, just to be able to get this call on short notice, to move up in weight class, to go into a rematch against the last person that beat you for the 155-pound title.
He only got to beat you in the UFC, right?
You're still the great man. Like, you're fantastic. You're still a 145-pound champ. But, dude, the cojones on this guy.
Yeah.
To get that call and just be like, yeah, for sure, I'll do that rematch. And like he said, he hadn't been training that much. You said probably not the best career move. Probably not, but still an absolute savage to be able to say, I'll step in here with Islam Makhachev.
Yeah, and you can question the decision making, but you can't question the toughness. And like at the end of the day, this loss, in my opinion, doesn't really mean much to him or his legacy
No.
because he has that excuse card in the back pocket. It was like, this was 10 days notice in Abu Dhabi. You know what I mean? I wasn't even training for a fight. You could tell visibly that he wasn't like the shape he was in wasn't fight ready shape for Volkanovski. So like he has those caveats where like the loss doesn't really mean too much. The biggest thing that this loss means is that he's not going to get a third fight. That's the biggest problem with this. Which ultimately doesn't really matter. There's a bunch of fighters who were never double champs.
Hey, if you're Volkanovski, do you want to go back up to 155 eventually and try to get that belt? Or do you just sit at 145 and just reign at that
I'm totally
division?
fine with that. The double champ stuff for me, it doesn't really like hold that much weight. Like no
Even
pun
if it's not
intended.
double champ, let's say he just says like, "Hey, I relinquished the belt.
Well, just two weight
I'm
class
stepping up to
champs.
155."
Yeah, it doesn't have to be simultaneous. Like there might be some people who put a lot of stock in that, and I understand. For me, I don't know why. I just don't really. It doesn't weigh too much for me. Like getting a championship in another division. Like what matters to me is like the actual performances and stuff, and like how you look in there against the competition. Look, I'm not discounting John Jones being the heavyweight champ. I'm not discounting GSP getting the middleweight belt. Daniel Cormier doing light heavyweight and heavyweight. I am discounting Connor doing 145 and 155.
How dare you?
But no, he did that, right? He put on a master class against Eddie Alvarez. He just shouldn't have been a double champ. That was bullshit. But like, it doesn't knock his legacy, in my opinion, at all, because he's still trying it. And look, there's some guys like DC who went down to light heavyweight, but he was a heavyweight, and then he goes to heavyweight and gets the belt. Islam is not a 155er. You know, the guy could probably he could probably go down to bantamweight better than he can go to 155. He's small, you know, like he's not a lightweight, you know, so it doesn't drop his stock to me really at all. It
Islam
does
or
Volkanovski. It doesn't drop my
Volkanovski?
stock
Okay.
in Volk. My stock does go way higher for Islam though.
The way
HLB
I mean the
Comer
way
says, and that's like you said, you expect the wrestling. You expect the wrestling. You don't expect high kick knockouts from. You would never expect that from Habib, right? And I know everybody wants to make the comparisons, but HB Comer says Volk wants to fight in January. Is that really a good idea? Again, maybe his team needs to sit him down and say, look, we know you're a savage, but we're at the point now where we need to start taking this a little bit more seriously and plan things out. It's just, look, January's what, 3 months away?
Mm-hmm.
It's got a bad cut 3 months after a knockout. And you're going to fight a savage like Ilya Topuria, who is a striker, not a wrestler. Maybe not a good call. And it kind of sucks because if Volk can't make it, they're going to do Ilya versus Max Holloway. And I don't really want to see Max beat another number one contender and block Volk from a new title fight, you know, a new title opportunity. So I don't know, but
Yeah, hey, there's been a lot of good chatter, by the way, on the chat. Blunderbub asking, do fighters get to negotiate higher pay purse when they take fights on short notice? It's been well documented that they get taken care of,
dude,
right, by the
I'm
UFC
sure
whenever they do.
Usman and Volk got fucking paid.
Rolling in the dough. Rolling
Yeah.
for sure. Let's see here. Blunderbuff says, I knew some heavyweights who were just really big bowling balls. Facts.
Yeah.
For sure.
DC is one of them.
HLB Comer also points out, also interesting how he and Izzy both suffered from a certain burnout. You've heard that a lot from Izzy recently, saying, "Hey, I need to take some time off." Wouldn't be a bad idea for Volk to take some time off too. And the thing is that we see 1 or 2 fights a year, 3 fights a year maybe, but the grind in between where we don't have a camera in front of them the entire time to stay at that level, come on.
Championship fight camps are no joke. The problem is, and it's a little worrying, is in the post-fight interview, Volk is talking about how, you know, he doesn't do well when he's not fighting, so he had to take this fight and like not do well mentally is what he's saying, and like that's scary because a lot of we've seen it numerous times where guys at the end of their career fight way more often than they should, and they're getting knocked out, and they should retire sooner. Someone who puts their life into fighting like this and you know, like that's a dark road, dude, and that's a little scary to see like the foreshadowing with that. And it's as much as we rail on Dominic Cruz when he lost his belt and he was against Cody Garbrandt and he did that post-fight interview at the press conference, and he was talking about, look, like, I don't need the win anymore. Like, this sucks, obviously, but like, my life doesn't, my value and my mental health doesn't rely on the win. It doesn't rely on the outcome of this stuff. And he's talked about how it took so long for him to get to that point. I hope Volk does, dude, because that's gnarly.
Math Prodigy coming through and saying, do you think it's like an extra 100,000? I mean, Dana passes out 250,000 to Milk Boys like Halloween candy. Oh, that's hilarious. By the way, I love the fact that shout out Math Prodigy. By the way, thanks for joining us. That somebody with that name, Math Prodigy, is talking numbers on there, so it's awesome. And then HOB Comer saying Volk's end is near. Don't say Rich right now is probably in the background shedding tears, as this is one of the only fighters that he follows. And so he does not want to hear that the end is near.
Look, the man is 35 years old.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like an old person, but historically, I think statistically, I think it's like 80% of champs that are over 36 or 36 and over lose. It's like it's crazy. The drop off is
keep on
insane.
Throwing those numbers out. Math Prodigy is smiling right now in front of his screen.
Yeah, but it's tough, man. He's 35 years old. To be in these type of fight camps back to back, fighting the killers of the division or the next division, you know,
gotta wear on him.
It's tough, man. Like, if Volk can defend that 145-pound belt against Topuria, maybe you call it there, dude. Honestly, I don't know. It's tough.
All right, so let me ask you this, Will, and I'll ask everybody else in the chat.
Maybe not. I don't know.
DeBronx next, or do you go Justin Gaethje next?
Yeah, that's weird, right? Because DeBronx had it, and it's not like he pulled out for some bullshit. Like, it was bad. It's a bad cut. But Gaethje was promised a title fight after knocking out Dustin.
Yeah.
Gaethje also denied the short notice fight, from what I'm told. So Dustin Poirier was also asked and did agree to it, but they went with Volk. Probably if Volk said no, they would have went with Poirier. But yeah, I don't know. And you know, Blunderbutt makes a good point there. Ton Lee is still ripping legs off at 38 years old, but one doesn't have USADA, and neither does the UFC. After
I was gonna say, neither does the UFC.
So maybe Volk can get a couple years later. You know what I mean?
Why not?
You can extend that.
We talked about this in the last one. You know, just let them have at it. Just let them have at it.
Well, you know they're getting the team that does the NFL, so we should be good.
Is that who they're getting?
Yeah. The guys who do the drug testing for the NFL and the and college football also. NCAA, is that what it is?
Yeah, NCAA. Yeah. Oh, dude, really? It's exactly.
Yeah, so we're good.
Yeah. They might as well start putting in the contracts like, hey, we don't drug test.
They literally say, like, we work with the organization to come up with the list of things to ban because we understand there are things that it's like, wait a second, what are you saying right now?
I love it.
Crazy.
That's hilarious. All right, man. Well, hey, that's all I have on the. That's all I have on the main event. Did you have anything else?
We talked pretty much only about Volkanovski. We kind of talked a little bit about Islam, but man, for Islam to also take this fight on short notice, a guy who took him 5 rounds, was it Regen that was saying it's a pretty much a lose-lose for Islam if he doesn't finish him in the first round. He goes out there and does it with the high kick. This is big for Islam, man, because now it's like with Habib, you're so worried about the wrestling. You're so worried. Don't let him get close. Don't let him get close. Like Chael Sonnen, right? And Islam now, even if he's not close, he might be setting some up to knock you out. Like,
yeah,
there's always going to be comparisons between Habib and Islam. If Islam stays on this track, and please let him defend a belt against a lightweight, we need to see him actually fight lightweights as a champ. Like, dude, he has a crazy opportunity for greatness. So yeah, I'm excited to see if he can go through the Bronx again.
From shopping at Ross. Right.
Yeah. Shout out Coleslaw.
Headlining.
I was telling Kevin, I was watching the fights with Kevin, and I was like, "Oh yeah, dude, Josh fucking met Islam in Ross like 5 or 6 years ago up in San Jose." He was like, "Oh, was he cool?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess he was like super stoked that somebody recognized because he was nobody at that point. I don't think he might have had one UFC fight, and he's in there with who was he with? I don't remember who he was with, but they're like buying like slides and shit at Ross, and just this picture with Josh is like."
That's so awesome, man.
So sick,
that's a good story.
And then little do you know, this guy ends up being the champ, dude. It's crazy.
There you go. Josh should reach out to him and be like, "Yo, remember me?"
Yeah. Math Prodigy says that's tough. I guess you give it to Gaethje since Charles had a chance but dropped the ball, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Show must go on. Justin is due again. Islam is diff than Khabib. Yeah, and that's the interesting too. They were talking about this. The interesting thing, I should say. Justin will be the first guy who faced Khabib to take on Islam. I think is the only. He would be the first guy with a common opponent.
Bum,
So
bum,
that's
bum.
interesting. There's a
That is
little
very
wrinkle to
interesting.
that one, you know.
Yeah.
And let's be real. You
an added
head kick
element.
knockout Dustin Poirier, you should get a title shot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
For sure. For sure. All right. We ready?
Yeah.
Move on.
Let's do it.
Let's go on to the co-main event.
Real quick, Regent says, who at lightweight would you pick against Islam? He has a high chance to go down as the best lightweight ever. Yeah, I mean, seriously.
He really does.
I don't
Chances
know who
are
gives
high.
him trouble. I don't know.
Once he starts getting a little bit older, we'll talk then. But right now, I can't see anybody. Let's go down the list real quick, right? Sorry, I know we said we're going to move on to the co-main, but that's a very good question that Region posts there. So you got DeBronx Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Beneil Dariush, Michael Chandler, Mateusz Gamrot, Rafael Fiziev, Arman Tsarukyan, Dan Hooker, Rafael Dos Anjos. That's the top 10.
Yeah.
Who?
No. I say no.
And, even if you go outside the top 10, like sometimes you'll look outside the top 10, you're like, hey, in a year or two, this person's on the way. Listen here. Jalen Turner? No. Bobby Green, as much as you love him, Will, let's be real here. No. Renato Moicano?
He already beat him.
Matt Frevola? Steamroller Frevola?
Not going to happen.
No. Drew Dober.
It's my boy, but no.
Dude, I mean, he can wipe out the division. He can. Yeah. So I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see his reign.
The problem is they're already talking about if Colby beats Leon, we want
No. Please, let's not do that. Look,
don't do that. We need to see him fight fucking lightweights. Come on.
Your boy eats that shit up, right?
Yeah.
Like, I love seeing that. I'm the exact opposite. Let me see it. Dude, I remember growing up and I'm watching, like Oscar De La Hoya, Mayweather, and I'm watching Manny Pacquiao, and you have Michael Buffer up there. He's like the former 124 pound, the former 128 pound, the former 134. And he's just like naming it off. And I'm like, that's so sick, dude, to be able to say like all these different weight divisions. I was the man. So like seeing it now, like, look, dude, I'm getting all excited just talking about it now, right? But with this guy specifically, with Islam Makhachev, I feel like we could have something so special where years down the road, even after he's done, like people won't be arguing who the best was. Like it's going to be set in stone that he was the best to ever do it at 155. Like I truly believe that he has that capability. So I want to see it happen.
Plus, like, what do we learn if he goes up and beats Colby Covington? Like nothing. It does nothing for me.
It would do something for you to see Colby Covington lose to.
I'd be stoked to see him lose. But it's just like, that's the type of shit that pisses me off about the sport. Math Prodigy or Blunderbub says cross promotion return fight for Christian Lee. Yeah, that'd be sick. I think Islam probably smokes him though, and I love Christian Lee. Regent says please stay at lightweight and become the GOAT. That's what I want, dude. And like going up and beating Colby Covington doesn't do that. But going through that murderer's row we just talked about,
look,
because what?
It would cement him as the GOAT.
Yeah. Because look, people complained about Islam getting a title shot and said he's only got it because he beat because he's Khabib's boy, all this shit. They're trying to replace Khabib with him. The plus side of that is now that he's champ, there's a bunch of fresh matchups that he did not face. Because sometimes there's guys who clear out the division just to get to the damn belt. That's not Islam. He's got a bunch of fresh matchups that he could take on as challengers. And if he could knock them down as champ, dude, that's what makes GOATs, not random one-off fights at the beginning of their reign.
To see like a mouth breather like him,
to
like
dude,
go through and be an absolute killer. Have you seen those videos where he's sitting next to Khabib? He's just like staring out like looks so confused all the time. I love it. He's just thinking about smashing.
He's just seeing high kicks, dude.
All the time.
He's just like, I see what I love high kick with the kid land there.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But yeah, dude, like I don't like the reason this fight even happened in the first place is because Volkanovski cleaned out his division. You don't go up in weight class to take on the champ when you still haven't even defended your belt against somebody in your division. Like, what are we doing? What are we even talking about? That you can't, especially at lightweight. There's all these guys waiting. We're talking about two guys who do we give the title shot to? neither of them. Let's have them go up in weight class. Like, what are we talking about? You know,
Yeah.
Don't
Wonder
even
saying
bring that
Miro
up.
hyped. Oh, dude, I got so hyped right now just talking about multi-division champs. You know, that's
Yeah.
And then HOB Comer saying Leon beats Colby.
I fucking
Dude,
hope so. God
headshot dead, man. As Leon says, by the way, one of the coldest moments
yeah, that was sick.
in
That
MMA
was so
history
sick, dude.
with Leon. I absolutely love it. All right, now for real, let's move on. We've been talking about this fight for 31 minutes.
Let's go.
You know,
but
it was worth it. But it was worth it. Hey, everybody, Ramiro and Will here. Thank you so much for watching that short clip. It's just a small clip of what we covered this last Sunday.
Yeah, if you want to check out the full fight card recap, the link is in the description, and it's going to be on screen at the end here. Don't forget to go back and watch our fighter interviews that we have. And don't forget to tune in live every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, and you can join in on the fun.
Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It goes a long way. All right, everybody, thanks for watching that short clip from Story of the Fight.